People are always asking, why do you ride the train in the US? Isn't it so much longer? Yes, and I love it, and I think other people should try it at least once. Today, we are talking about my favorite form of travel, which if you have been watching this channel, you know is train travel. And my train travel journey really was very spontaneous. I did not mean to become that train travel girl, queen, fairy, whatever name you want to give me, but it really has changed the way I travel as a Black woman, as a Black solo female traveler, and just in general thinking about conscious travel and slow travel and what does it mean to travel with more intention. I think train travel is where it's at, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I did it and why you should too. I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, meaning I had really easy access to Amtrak ever since I was a kid. Milwaukee to Chicago on Amtrak is only an hour and a half, and going to Chicago, which is a huge hub for Amtrak, means I have access to so many different routes. So being on the train wasn't really new for me, but being a scenic solo train traveler was very much new when I booked my first solo scenic train ride in July 2021. I went on the California Zephyr, which if you have been around on this channel since then, you know I did a whole vlog about it. I will link it down below or put it somewhere in this video. But ever since then, I've been hooked on scenic train rides. And one of the reasons why I love it so much is that it helped me sightsee differently. As someone who does not like driving and is not super fond of going on road trips by myself, taking a scenic train ride takes all the hassle out of that. I grew up road tripping from Milwaukee to Louisiana, Milwaukee to Michigan, Milwaukee to Pittsburgh. I have spent a lot of time keeping myself busy on long car rides, so doing a scenic train ride really wasn't a big jump for me. But becoming a train traveler definitely helped me understand travel a bit differently because the sights literally come to you. I don't have to do anything. It's pretty easy for you to book a trip and just enjoy the journey of a scenic train. And so it gave me a different perspective of how I could see things like the Rocky Mountains on the California Zephyr, or go up the Pacific Coast Highway without having to drive, or riding on with alongside Puget Sound on Amtrak Cascades, because I didn't know what that was before I booked the trip. Like, scenic train travel is one of the only modes of travel transportation where the views come to you, aside from perhaps cruises. But really, scenic train travel, all you have to do is sit there and relax and enjoy the views, and that completely changed how I viewed sightseeing, especially in the US. I also love train travel because I learned a lot about reclaiming my solitude and silence and peace and the art of doing nothing. Being a remote social worker, having a 9-to-5, and also being a YouTuber and a travel content creator, it can be a lot, and since travel is a big part of what I do as a creator, booking a train trip gives me the best of both worlds. I'm able to travel and do what I love, but also I can rest, and there isn't any rush to go to tours, to leave the train to do a bunch of sightseeing. Everything again comes to me, and I'm able to sit in my roomette, because y'all know I love booking the rooms for my long train rides, or even on the Cascades when I didn't have a room, I was still able to sit there and take in the views without doing a whole lot. And the more I post on social media about being a train traveler, the more it's apparent to me how most of us aren't used to just existing without Wi-Fi or internet or anything like that for a long period of time. And I love it. I know some people are like, I don't want to do that, or girl, you are crazy. But I really enjoy it because it's one of the few times where I can unplug, and to a degree, I don't feel guilty about it. People know I'm on a train trip. People know I'm minding my business. And so it makes it a very smooth, very relaxing adventure in my little roomette where I'm by myself, alone, in my own solitude and peace. And I love that for me, and I want y'all to love it too. After a train ride, I feel so well rested. Paying that extra money, because US train trips, especially if you're booking a roomette like I am, are really not that cheap, especially as a solo traveler. But the way I can be secluded and still socialize and still have my me time is perfect for somebody like me, who I say I'm a traveling homebody, and a train gives me all of that. It gives me a room on the road. The third reason why I love train travel and why I started to do more of it was because they are so easy to plan. The thing about a train trip is that the train ride itself is the trip. So for example, on the Empire Builder, the trip was me going from Milwaukee to Portland. I was sitting in my roomette or in the dining car, in the observation car, and I was going through Glacier National Park. I was going through all of the beautiful forestry and wooded areas of the Pacific Northwest. Like, all of that was the trip, and all I had to do was book a ticket in Amtrak and just sit there and enjoy it. I didn't have to do anything extra. I didn't have to really bring anything extra. I just brought my laptop, journal, my Kindle, and stuff like that, and that was all I had to do. And as someone who is often traveling solo or traveling for work, it is so nice to just show up at a place and not have to plan anything else. Like, literally all I had to do was book a ticket, and that's it every time. And I absolutely think that if you are a solo traveler who does a lot on their own, this is a good balance to have as a train traveler too. Like, there's no requirement or no pressure to plan tours, and when you book a roomette, that also includes all of your meals, so you don't have to plan out what you're going to eat. And obviously I don't want every single trip I do to be a train trip, but every now and again I enjoy the art of just booking a train ride and knowing the trip is all planned out for me. My fourth reason for why I love solo traveling as a train traveler that may be surprising is that I personally think traveling by train is one of the more safer ways that I travel as a Black woman. Now, this is more of a personal observation and experience, and is really more based on my experiences traveling in the US, so I can't speak for train trips in other countries at this point, aside from the one that I took in Mexico, the Chepe Express, which I did really love and did feel safe on. I think doing a train trip, there's just something about not being able to go anywhere, which sounds a little creepy, right? But there's something about it that makes me feel a bit more protected, a bit more relaxed. And when I book a roomette, it locks from the inside, so the probability of someone coming into my room is very, very low, and it's never happened. No one bothers me as a solo traveler. People are always curious about what I'm doing as a solo traveler on trains, especially because I'm normally one of the youngest in the roomettes and also one of the only Black people or non-white older retired couples or families that are on the train ride too. But the sleeper car attendants are super accommodating and not in your business. The dining car attendants are really nice and will make really cool conversations with you. And if at any point I am uncomfortable sitting in the dining car or the observation car, because I booked a roomette, I'm able to go back to my room and get that seclusion and get that solitude with the views right outside my window and not having to worry about it. So if you are a solo female traveler wanting to book a relatively safe trip, though we know anything can happen anywhere, I recommend booking a roomette on the train and seeing how that feels for you. One of the more popular reasons why train travel is very popular is because it is a more slow and sustainable way to travel. And as I'm always trying to be a safe solo female traveler as much as I can control, I'm also trying to learn how to be more of a sustainable traveler. Now, I'm not perfect, and I don't think it's possible to be the perfect traveler because there are so many issues with travel more than ever. However, I do think that becoming a train traveler makes me appreciate the journey a bit more, makes me appreciate the slow travel. Obviously, it uses less emissions than a plane does. It consumes less energy and less pollution, and so it feels like I'm able to do my part a bit better as a traveler who is often on the go and being more conscious of the impact that I'm leaving as I'm traveling around the US or other places that I may go. So I'm definitely not your perfect, sustainable, ethical, conscious traveler. However, I think train travel is really pushing me into that direction to think more critically about how I am traveling. And the last reason why I think train travel is really important for me as a solo traveler, but also as a Black woman, is because it is part of my Black history in the US. For those who don't know, the US used to have something called the Pullman Porters, which were Black men who were working on the train, and they became a big part of US history, of Black history, when they fought to get unionized, to get better working conditions, conditions, and also they faced a lot of discrimination because this was post-slavery, and in order to do that became the first Black labor union in the United States called the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters. And I had the opportunity to write a story about them for Travel and Leisure not too long ago, and also film a Black History Month campaign with Amtrak about the Pullman Porters, which was just an amazing experience. And it really helps me appreciate even more train travel, especially as a Black American woman. I would not be here today without the Pullman Porters. A lot of them helped build the Black middle class, which is how I grew up in the Midwest. I learned that my godmother's father wasn't a Pullman porter, but he was a waiter on the train, so I heard a bit about his experience through her and her experiences being a young Black girl from Detroit traveling on trains. And so that adds an extra layer of appreciation for me as a Black traveler in 2023, or whenever you're watching this video, of knowing that, hey, this is also part of my history. Black people have done a lot in the US and shaped a lot of the culture and the infrastructure here, and adding train travel was just a dream to learn about and to write about and to be a part of a really special project. So if you're interested in either watching the video I did or reading the article, I will link both of those in the description box. I am because they were, and so I never take that lightly as a Black traveler, and I hope you don't either. Even if you're not a Black traveler, just knowing about the people who shaped our own travel experiences right now is really important, and I never forget it when I'm on a train ride. So I hope this video convinced you to take a scenic train trip. I think they are some of the most beautiful and memorable trips I have ever taken as someone who's been traveling domestically and internationally for quite some time now. And if you want more information on train rides or train travel, feel free to subscribe to my channel, because I definitely will be taking more train trips in the future. You can also binge the train travel vlogs I've already filmed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and again, subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone, stay curious.